Hello and welcome back to AutoKnerd, the podcast where car sales get smarter, funnier, and hopefully a little more human along the way. Today's episode is mastering customer validation. Last week we talked a lot about making a connection with an individual and what actually matters as you're going to go ahead and make that connection. If you haven't heard that yet and this podcast seems a little bit out of touch for what you might be looking for, just listen to that one first. If not, just stay here and I'll bring you up to speed. But we're not going to be talking about the kind of stamp on, let's say, like a parking ticket for validation. No, we are talking about the thing that makes us money, earning trust. This is about making that connection and understanding why it matters in the first place. So let's get into it. So when I was on the floor, I had a guy come in, sunglasses, arms crossed, serious looking dude. I gave him a relax. Hey, take your time. If you got any questions, I'm right here. I'm not going anywhere. I really have nowhere else to be. You're the only person here in nice, snowy Wisconsin. 10 minutes later, he calls me over, points at the window sticker, and says what most customers are out there looking for in the first place, not knowing what they're actually shopping for, when it goes ahead and says, be straight with me. What's the real price in this thing? Going through my head right then and there, it's, dude, you came in, you were kind of a jerk. You were super standoffish. And now you're going to go ahead and ask for a discount? No. We're good here. So instead of showing this guy a number, I just simply said, I can show you that. But first, can I ask you what matters with you in a car? Because driving a payment isn't exactly something that you can do. So let's start there. Why this vehicle? And the guy backs up, he kind of blinks a couple times, and he looks at me and goes, nobody's asked me that today. How many stores have you been to? Well, I've been to about 5 stores, and nobody's asked you why you're looking at that particular vehicle. I mean, in all honesty, here's the thing. When it comes down to you looking at this, I personally don't care about your reasons, but I know you do. And I want to make sure that those reasons are going to be covered on the vehicle. All right. Now, when it comes down to their sales consultants, of course, you can walk into a dealership, say, hey, what's the best price? And eventually you're going to get a great price on a vehicle, but you're going to find a car that you're probably not going to entirely love. So what are you looking for in it? After about 20 minutes of working with them a little bit, we weren't talking money, we weren't talking interest rates, we weren't talking any of that stuff. Actually, that whole conversation was just pushed to the side. We were talking about how his kid's going off to college and he's needing something safe for his kid. We ended up making a deal that day, and he told me, I trusted you and you listened. That's why I bought the car from you. Boom, validation. Right there. That is what we're looking for, is we're very simply looking for the customer to simply say, hey, I trusted you, therefore I bought it. Keep in mind, trust and that conversation that you have with them that builds up that ability to have the customer push their anxieties away gives you the ability to raise your profit margins. Mainly because when people are just supercharged to want something, that want becomes a need. And when that need arises and it's strong enough, the payment's not standing in their way because money didn't matter in the first place. Let's hit this hard with some stats. 76% of Americans don't trust dealerships. Oof. Ow. You know what? I've always loved that stat, though, because if you understand that the vast majority of people don't like car dealerships, all you need to do is change your behavior, and all of a sudden you have a customer that loves you because you're different from everybody else. But here's the good news, is that 71% of customers buy when they know that they can trust the salesperson that they're talking to. So if we're a manager out there, guess what we should be investing in? Needs assessment training, the ability to go ahead and get to know who that person is on the other side of the table. That's the unlock right there. That is the key to getting the customer to just spill the information so we can go ahead and help them. The honest ones of us out there are simply just waiting for customers to come in and go, hey, here's what I need. Please help me. Well, sometimes we got to dig it out of them a little bit. So keep in mind, be different, and you can go ahead and sell that thing without any issue whatsoever. So on the other side of that, 29% of customers left the dealership because they couldn't find somebody they trusted to buy the car from. We're the number one reason people buy. We're also the number one reason that they don't buy. If you act like a jerk, then they're not going to buy from you. It's pretty obvious stuff. So how did we get to the point where we are right now? Well, the reason is that things like being, transparent, consistent, and having authenticity have just been drummed out of us. Is that we're hyped up to the point where customers come on in and we just want to get that deal done. And I understand it. We all got to pay our rent. We got to do our thing, especially end of the month. Or if you're looking at your draw going, why am I still on this thing? I'm having a terrible month. No, 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 no. You're just in a terrible headspace. We just got to get you out of that. So 3 big moves you can make right now. First off, be more transparent, right? Start showing real numbers early. Meaning this is that if the customer is all about numbers right off the bat, cater to it. Why not? If that guy, I can't go ahead and tell somebody, no, I'm not going to sell it to you if they say, oh, the numbers are right. And it's not a bad thing to get the money out of the way in the beginning. Now, I know most people, when they come in, I could only pay $250, $350 a month. And then you show them a payment that's like $800 or $900 a month later, and they don't bat an eye and they take the car. After you've done that and you have that information, great. Have you had any changes in your life? What's your negative equity situation look like on that vehicle? Let's go ahead and pull that up real quick. Now we can start actually talking real numbers. If I don't have that data, there's nothing that I can actually talk about and make any semblance of sanity out of. Also, with authenticity, drop the faked hype act. Yeah, I know. We're car sales consultants, and we gotta boost that hype every so often. But be yourself. No need to go ahead and put on some other persona because you saw somebody at the dealership act in a certain way and it just seemed to click. Also, when it comes to consistency, don't say one thing and do another. It's just general honesty is huge when it comes to building trust. So be consistent in everything that you do and just simply try to make it part of your everyday routine, right? Just have honesty in there. And if that little white lie comes out every so often, just ask yourself why. Why did you say that? Why did you say something so dumb? This is Psychology 101. Trust happens when people feel safe. Use eye contact that's comfortable and remember their name, which is one of the toughest things for us to do. I used to write the customer's name in the inside of my hand or like on my arm if I was wearing sleeves, just so I would remember it. Yeah, I think as car sales consultants, we have a big bucket of names in our brain, and when it gets full, it all falls out. But echo back what they said with a little luck, hopefully it'll stick a little bit better. And so if they're telling you, hey, here's what I need on this car, just repeat it back, right? So safety and fuel economy are top priorities, right? Yes. Okay, cool. Here's what's going on. You're repeating it, and with a little luck, it's going to retain a little bit better. If you are having trouble retaining information, start taking notes with pen and paper, write this stuff down. And there's a reason I mentioned pen and paper, right? Not your keyboard. The reason I mentioned pen and paper is just the simple act of writing helps kind of ingrain it in our short-term memory. But trust isn't earned through these slick lines. And again, I don't mean to rag on, all these people that I see on YouTube as I'm researching this stuff, going in and saying, well, closing's like this and say this and do that. I'm sorry. There's no quick fix line other than saying, hey, the car is completely free, tax free, everything free. Don't worry about it. Come take the key. Never come here for service. What do you want to say to go ahead and remove all of the stress from an individual's life? So the thing is that having one-liners, they don't help. Trust is earned through small human signals. And when the customer trusts you, they'll tell everyone that who's close to them about you. And this is one of the beautiful things about this job is that in this particular industry, you get out of it exactly what you put into it. It pays you back. It's almost like it's an industry that doesn't want to be indebted to you. But when you go ahead and you become lazy and you start to not invest in that relationship, not invest in those small human signals that build trust along the way, everything falls apart. And as I said a billion times, and I will continue to say, is that the customer never changes because they are all always different. And because of that, you always got a shot to sell them. So when you got to build trust, just keep in mind that slowing down is actually your ability to speed up filling up your bank account. Now, you've heard this before. If people like you, they'll listen. If they trust you, they'll buy. That's not just a slogan. It's a behavioral science. It's a weapon that we can have in our back pocket every single time we're talking to somebody. People buy based on emotion and justify their purchases or their upcoming purchase with logic. That means your job isn't just to win an argument, it's to win their confidence and take that argument and toss it in the trash can. Because once their confidence is up, they will go ahead and buy from you. That's called reciprocity. So, if we think about it in terms of reciprocity, you show them real empathy and real understanding, and they're wired to respond in kind, right? That's how you open the door to its two-step needs assessment. It's quite simply, I understand who you are, and you pay me back with kindness. I hope you see how this is working now, because for those of us that are out there that are going ahead and just upping the customer, walking them in the lot, and now going, what the heck just happened? Well, when you look at your surveys and you have a bunch of bad surveys and your gross profit is lower, well, the thing is that you didn't have a connection with that customer. Congratulations on your $100 mini and your 35 marks on the board. Slow down. It's time to make yourself some money. All right, so train our head on. Here's the hard truth. 85% of customers say that the sales consultant never actually interviewed them. 100% of sales people will say that, yes, I did a needs assessment. So who's actually wrong here? This is like you going to the doctor and the doctor prescribing meds for you without asking if anything hurts. It would be completely irresponsible. And a great needs assessment means that you're asking open-ended questions and you're really listening to the feedback, right? So try this. Simple questions will start out easy. What brings you in today? Instead of just simply hello, what brings you in today is going to start a conversation. Now, the customer may go ahead and say, well, we're looking for a car. Why? I mean, hit them between the eyes with something that they didn't expect in the first place. Or try a couple of these. What do you love about your current car? What would make the next one absolutely stunningly perfect? The thing is that with these particular questions, it gets that conversation rolling. And here's the key to all of these, even the mundane questions. Don't interrupt them. Be quiet. Let the customer speak. Don't interrupt them. Listen long enough to earn the right to make a recommendation, because the ability for an individual to speak is directly correlated to trust. So think about it like this. The more words that come out of their mouth in a positive conversation, if trust was a thermometer, it raises up with every single word incrementally. The more you get them to talk about things that are positive in their life, the more they start to trust you, the closer you can get to closing them down based on the information that you have, not going ahead and gutting your deal. But when you're going ahead and making this recommendation, tie it back to what they said, so they know exactly where you're coming from. So, for example, something along the lines like this. Said you drive 45 minutes to work. This hybrid setup could save you a ton of money over time. That's needs-based selling. That's when the customer goes ahead and says something like, wow, that's really something I'm looking forward to. You drilled on in. You found that the customer for fuel efficiency wasn't really happy, and you let them know that, hey, fuel efficiency is important to you. Yeah, it absolutely is. You tied it into the vehicle. Now you lock that customer in on that particular unit. Now it's time for us to go ahead and find exactly which one's going to work for them. All right, proof time. Let's talk results. Salespeople who promptly address needs double their closing rate. I'm not joking. Take a look down below. There's all the resources to a bunch of professional websites that have done this stuff. Now, all these studies. If you do the needs assessment, you double your closing ratio. 38% of buyers buy within 48 hours of visiting that dealership. So how exactly do we know that it's a quality lead? Well, better qualified leads convert 172% of the time and deliver higher gross, right? Validation isn't just a nice thing to have. It's the difference between chasing leads and closing them efficiently. And validation is only earned through you going ahead and participating with things like kindness, caring, when you're doing your needs assessment. You see, repeating back that information and listening to the customer, again, activates their ability to start trusting you, crushing their anxieties, and giving them the ability to simply listen to what you have to say and just say yes. It's a bizarre thing, but human beings, the way that we are wired, in this particular sense, is identically the same. You can have somebody from one walk of life come in, and then somebody from a completely different walk of life come in. And if you simply just go ahead, sit them down and start asking your why questions, who you are, where you came from, why this vehicle, and getting to know them. and then getting the money stuff done up front. Now, again, what I mean by money stuff done up front is learning exactly where they need to be, right? So if the customer is saying, hey, you know what, I'm paying $800 a month, as I said before, good, go down that path, all right? But if you don't know that ahead of time, you're shooting in the dark here. So here are 3 field-tested phrases that build validation quickly. Before we talk numbers, can I ask you what's important to you about this car? We're trying to transition the customer away from money because in the end, it's not the money that matters. It's the fact that you want a vehicle that you can drive well. You're just stuck in the money zone right now. Or try this one. You mentioned that X, Y, or Z matters a lot to you. Can I show you something that checks all those boxes? And it may very well be a completely different vehicle from what they were thinking in the first place. Keep in mind, they do this every 3 to 5 years. You do it every single day of your life, hopefully multiple times a day. So acknowledge that and just take the customer and move them to another place. Then there's this one. Just to make sure I understand, summarize whatever their need is that still a top priority? If they say yes, awesome. If they say no after you've gone through a bunch of things, awesome. We're moving along. We're going to something else. If they say yes, stay in that vein. But if they say yes, you're not just closing them at that point. Actually, you're kind of co-authoring a solution with them. And that's a whole different type of sales experience. Because being able to get the customer to work with you and get them to feel like they are also creating the story, they didn't just come to a storyteller, is the difference between them sending people to you later and returning and the difference from them never looking at you again. If they know that you're there to participate in the sale and assist them, they will be back. That's called building a career, not just landing good gross on this one deal. So here's the closer. You are not a persuader. You are not a price dropper. You're a guide, a translator, and a validator. Validate their concerns, validate their priorities, validate their worth. Because when you do that, they'll gladly validate your offer. You are not a price dropper paying for the customer to drive off the lot with your vehicle. That's not something that we do here at AutoKnerd. You're a guide, you're a translator, you're a validator, you're somebody that genuinely cares about the person sitting on the other side of the table. Validate their concerns, validate their priorities, validate their worth, and invest some time into learning who they are. Because when you do that, they'll gladly validate your offer. Again, our job is to decrease anxieties and increase their ability to say yes. But they're only going to say yes if they enjoy their time working with us or if they're just completely spent. So thank you for listening to another episode of AutoKnerd. Please pass this along to whoever may be in need of it. Please also subscribe to the podcast. There's tons of great stuff coming down the pipe here. So this is Andrew Sardone from AutoKnerd. Today, you just leveled up. Catch you next Thursday. Have a great one. Go out there, spread that kindness, show the customer that you care, and aim for validation 100% of the time. Remember, that closing ratio doubles if you simply go ahead and get to know them. I'd say making a friend is well worth your time. Talk to you next week.